All right, diving right in today, we've got a ton of great material you sent over focusing on, well, a really explosive potential matchup in the West. OKC Thunder versus the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, this is a fun one. Two teams packed with young talent, but very different ways of playing the game. Playoff implications written all over it.
Exactly. So we've looked through the articles, the stats, the breakdowns. The goal here is to really explore this clash, team styles, the key guys going head-to-head, the strategies.
Getting under the hood, basically, see what makes them tick and how they stack up against each other.
Perfect. So let's kick off with the Thunder. Oklahoma City, their rise has been pretty meteoric, hasn't it? You got to give credit to their front office, the drafting.
And Coach Daigneault, too. The player development there is really something.
Totally. And when you watch them play, that offense is just, wow, so fast, constant motion.
Yeah, the ball moves. They really emphasize spacing, getting everyone involved, and they are not shy about shooting the three ball.
Leads to a lot of open looks, right? And those transition buckets that just energize them.
It does. And interestingly, that offensive style, the spacing, it actually helps their transition defense. They get back better.
That makes sense. And defensively, they're just pests. So much length, active hands.
Very disruptive. They gamble for steals, use that athleticism well in the passing lanes. It's a cohesive unit on that end, too.
And leading the charge, obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
SGA, his jump to MVP level. It's been incredible to watch.
Just scores in so many ways. Those crafty drives, the improved passing.
Yeah.
He's the engine, no doubt.
And then you've got Jalen Williams, J-Dub. He seems to do a bit of everything, doesn't he? Scoring, playmaking, defense. Kind of the glue guy.
Yeah, exactly. That the secondary creator every top team needs. He's been vital. And Chet Holmgren, what a unique player.
Seriously. The size, the shooting range, and the rim protection, that's a rare package.
Yeah.
His battle with the Memphis Bigs is going to be fascinating.
It really is. And you can't forget Luguentz Dort, the definition of a lockdown defender.
He takes on those toughest assignments every night, brings that toughness, that edge, and he can knock down threes too.
That energy is infectious, like you said.
Yeah.
And Cason Wallace, the rookie, stepping in, playing solid two-way ball, that's huge.
It really is. Shows their depth. You get shooting from guys like Isaiah Joe off the bench, maybe some front court versatility from Jalen Williams. They have options.
Definitely. That depth helps them keep that high pace going. Okay, so let's pivot to Memphis, the Grizzlies.
Right. A very different vibe. They've got that established identity, haven't they? Toughness, physicality, the whole grit and grind reimagined.
Exactly. Even as the players change a bit, that core philosophy, that relentless spirit, it's still there.
And their offense often flows through Ja Morant. The athleticism is just off the charts.
He's electric. Attacking the rim, drawing fouls, those highlights can totally change a game's momentum. Plus, they really hit the offensive glass hard.
A real weapon for them.
Yeah.
And defensively, well, that's their calling card, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the foundation. They want to be physical, pressure the ball constantly, force mistakes, protect that paint. Rebounding is non-negotiable.
And it's not just Ja. Desmond Bane has become such a polished scorer, plus he gives them good defense on the wing.
Such a key two-way player. His matchups with the Thunder wings like Jalen Williams are going to be intense.
And then Jaren Jackson Jr., another one of these modern bigs, can score inside and out. Elite shot blocker.
Yeah, that clash between him and Holmgren, wow, two different styles of skilled big men going at it. That's compelling stuff.
For sure. And Steven Adams, assuming he's healthy, he just adds another layer of physicality.
Oh, yeah. The screening, the rebounding, the sheer presence in the paint. He changes their dynamic when he's out there, embodies that grit.
And their depth reflects that, too, right?
Yeah.
Players like, historically, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, guys who bring energy and fit that tough mold.
Exactly. They build rosters with guys who buy into that system, that identity. Okay, so we've got the profiles. How do they actually match up when they play?
Good question. Looking back, it's interesting. Different eras, different stars. But what about recently? Do these games tend to be shootouts or defensive slugfests?
Well, it's kind of shifted, Older matchups, maybe more grinded out. But with OKC pushing pace and Memphis adding shooting, we've seen higher scores too. It often depends who controls the tempo, really.
So no clear historical edge lately. It fluctuates.
Yeah, it seems to mirror where each team is in their competitive cycle. Sometimes one's up, sometimes the other. It makes it unpredictable.
Okay, let's zoom in then. The individual battles. SGA versus Ja Morant. Has to be the headliner, right?
Oh, absolutely. Must-see TV, like you said. Two dynamic young guards. SGA's smooth control versus Ja's just raw explosiveness.
So how do they typically do against each other? Do the numbers change much? Do they guard each other straight up?
Both usually still get their points, honestly. Shows how good they are offensively. Maybe assists tick up slightly if defenses load up on them. Defensively, SGA's improved a lot, uses his length. Ja, well, his athleticism lets him gamble for steals, but it's less about shutdown D and more about who's more efficient overall that night.
Gotcha. What about Jalen Williams versus Desmond Bane? That feels like a really important wing battle.
Huge. Both are critical two-way guys. Bane's shooting and movement versus Williams's all-around game.
How does that usually play out defensively?
You might see Williams try to use length on Bane's jumpers. Bane maybe uses strength against Williams' drives. Often comes down to who hits their threes and who gets stops in key moments.
Makes sense. And then the bigs. Holmgren versus Jaren Jackson Jr. That contrast again.
Yeah, Holmgren pulling JJJ out with the shot versus JJ maybe trying to use his strength inside against Chet.
And both are elite shot blockers in their own way.
Exactly. So who controls the paint? Who impacts the spacing more? It's a massive strategic point.
And Dort. His defensive assignments against Memphis wings. How crucial is that? Say, guarding Bane or whoever's hot.
It's his whole job, basically. Make their life miserable. He's physical, relentless. He might not shut them down completely, but he makes them work for everything. Forces tough shots, wears them down. That adds up.
Okay, strategy time. Thunder offense, that pace, that ball movement against the Grizzlies' physical D. How does OKC break through?
They have to keep the pace up. If Memphis turns it into a half-court wrestling match, OKC can get bogged down. They need those open threes.
And how does SGA handle that pressure? Memphis will focus on him.
He's got to make quick reads, use his craftiness to get into the lane, then decide score or kick out. His decision-making there is absolutely critical for them.
Okay, flip side. Grizzlies offense, Morant attacking, offensive boards against OKC's length and activity. How does Memphis succeed?
They'll likely try to pound it inside, use any strength advantage, get Ja downhill, draw fouls, crash the glass hard for those second chances. That's their bread and butter.
Can they exploit OKC inside? Holmgren's good, but maybe physicality.
That's probably the plan. Test Holmgren and the Thunder's interior toughness. And they need guys like Bane and JJJ to hit shots when Ja draws the defense.
And the tempo battle seems huge here. Fast pace for OKC, grind it out for Memphis. Who usually wins that tug of war?
It really is a tug of war, often dictates the game. If OKC gets easy transition points, Memphis is in trouble. If Memphis controls the glass, slows it down, makes it physical, that favors them.
It's a real clash of wills then. Finally, the benches. How important are the reserves in this matchup?
Oh, potentially game-changing, especially in a close series. Depth matters.
So who has the edge there? OKC's young guys, or maybe Memphis's potentially more experienced role players?
Historically, maybe Memphis had more vets off the bench who knew the system, but OKC's bench is young, deep, and getting better fast. It comes down to consistency, I think. Can OKC's youth provide reliable minutes, or does Memphis' experience win out? Could go either way.
All right, let's get into the numbers a bit more specifically. SGA against the Grizzlies. What do his stats typically look like in those games? Scoring, efficiency.
Well, his scoring usually stays pretty high. He finds ways. But efficiency might dip slightly just because Memphis throws so much defensive attention his way, you know. They make him work.
Right, makes sense. What about assists? Does he turn playmaker more?
Sometimes, yeah. If they double him hard, he's gotten much better at finding the open man. That assist-to-turnover ratio against their pressure is something to watch, though. He usually chips in on the boards, too, and his defensive stats are solid.
And his three-point shooting against them varies.
It can, yeah. Depends on the looks he gets against that D. And checking his clutch stats in those close games against Memphis is always interesting.
Okay, now Ja Morant against the Thunder. Similar breakdown. How does he fare statistically?
Same story, really. High scoring, usually. He's the engine. Efficiency can sometimes take a hit against OKC's length in the paint, but he makes up for it by getting to the line a ton.
And playmaking. Assists.
Still racks them up. When he collapses the defense, he's great at kicking out. His gravity creates looks for others. But again, turnovers against OKC's active hands are something out of track.
Good point. So, big picture team stats then, head-to-head. Where do the advantages usually show up? Points, shooting, rebounds?
You often see OKC maybe edge them out in three-point shooting, both percentage and attempts. That's their game.
And Memphis.
Rebounding, especially offensive rebounds. That's huge for them. Generates those extra possessions. Assists can be close. Turnovers are key. Who forces more?
And pace. Defensive rating.
Pace, usually higher if OKC dictates, slower if Memphis does. Defensive ratings kind of reflect who's imposing their will better in that specific game. Any big edge in those categories often tells you who's likely winning.
So wrapping this up, it really feels like the core contrast is OKC's rising offensive firepower and youth versus Memphis's established toughness and defensive identity.
That's it exactly. The young guns versus the gritty veterans. Almost. Though both teams are young, Memphis just has that more ingrained physical style. It's a fantastic clash.
And those key matchups, S.J. Morant, Williams Bain, Holmgren JJJ, Dort on the wings, they feel like mini battles that could decide the war.
Absolutely. Plus the strategic chess match. Can OKC's shooting solve Memphis's D? Can Memphis's physicality overwhelm OKC? Pace control, bench play.
Right.
It's all crucial.
And looking at those head-to-head stats for the stars and the teams just adds that extra layer of context, doesn't it?
Definitely helps understand the dynamics, the strengths, the potential weaknesses when they face off.
So, a final thought for everyone listening. Considering everything, the styles, the stars, the strategies, what one factor do you think will be the absolute difference maker if these two teams meet in the playoffs? Something to chew on. Really appreciate you taking this deep dive with us.